Well, good Monday morning, everyone, even though it's Friday afternoon for some of us. As you guys can see, there's nobody else around me right now. I'm hoping that we can get at least Stephanie to jump in. She's out doing wonderful things, trying to get her new program built to where she can house homeless vets. So we're hoping to get her on, but right now it's just me. So you guys are going to have to put up with just myself and my guest. Very, very special guest today, Daria Mann. She's been a member of the Community Pay It Forward program for quite a while. And, the program she does is so important, and she does so much work with people, and she has a unique way of doing it. She's a hypnotherapist plus a family counselor. And this is important because we haven't talked about families and family counseling yet on the show. So this is an opportunity for us to talk to Daria and some of the struggles that families have had, and especially the last 2.5, 3 years with the whole COVID thing, because we've seen the tremendous spike in 2020 to now, where the numbers here in America have jumped even higher. I do, since we don't have the regular cast of characters, I do want to go on ahead and put these numbers, this information up for everyone. You can get a hold of Stephanie Simoes, who is a cause entrepreneur for One Hope Wines. You can get a hold of her at her Linktree. Just go to Linktree/Steph Simoes. You can get a hold of our dear friend with Price of Freedom Foundation, Dennis Schroeder, at priceoffreedomfoundation.org. His number is 615-389-1867. 615-389-1867. And of course, their website is priceoffreedomfoundation.org, not Price of Freedom Foundation.org. There's a dot in there. I guess I better change that sometime sooner or later. Just to let you guys know, Dennis has a GoFundMe going to try to help get their book out, their first book out. They create books for our veterans who have lost their lives. It's an explanation of, it's the story of the life. It's the story of the individual. They work with Gold Star families, but they do so much more because they also tell the stories of those who lost their lives to the invisible demons. So below you can see the GoFundMe. You can see the GoFundMe page. So go and support them. Just when you go to GoFundMe, type in Price of Freedom Foundation and the information is going to go up. I'm going to leave it scrolling because we're not able to add it to the chat right now because this is a pre-recorded show. Matter of fact, there you go. It's GoFundMe./help us fulfill FS promise to a gold star. So a lot of words to remember, but I'll leave the scrolling up. You can get a hold of Trevor from Charity Revolution at trevor@charityrevolution.com. Trevor@charityrevolution.com. You can always schedule a meeting with Mr. Z at zworldwebs.com/chat. zworldwebs.com/chat. Our buddy Patrick Myers 9@gmail.com, or call him at 904-444-8399, 444-8399. Check out all that Patrick's doing, because he's doing some wonderful things with kids all around uh, uh, where he's at in Tennessee. So please check out Patrick if you can. You can always get a hold of me right at my Form My Card. Just go to formmycard.net/Zach_Clayton. I believe, I don't know if you need the U36RU, but if not, it's right there. www.formmycard.net/U/36RU/Zach Clayton, or just give me a call at 970-909-0751, 970-909-0751. And last but not least, our newest member is Aaron at New Age to OneCreation.com. New Age at New Age to NewCreation.com. So Aaron was one of our guests a couple weeks ago. She lost her sister to suicide. She's doing a lot of things to try to make life better for many people. So we invited Aaron to join us, and she was happy to do that. I am now going to bring on the star of the show. Again, great friend of mine. I've had her on my regular Pact show a couple times, and I'm very proud to bring her on to Footprints Forward, Miss Daria Mann. How are you doing, Daria?
Hi, I'm great. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on and doing this. I've always loved your program because it's different. It's not the hey, lay on the couch and let's talk thing that you see on TV. There is a little bit of a different to it. What got you into doing hypnotherapy?
Well, I was an educator for 23 years. Then I went into finance. I got my life insurance license and my securities license, and I was going to make $1 million, right? Selling people basically life insurance and investing their money. Unfortunately, at the time, my husband got really, really sick and we lost everything. And in fact, I had to cash out all of my retirement just to pay bills. And when you're sitting in front of a table with someone trying to tell them about investments and you're in this place of doom and gloom, it doesn't work well. I'm a great educator, but I was not a very good salesperson at all at that time. And I had gone full time in May with Primerica, the finance company. And in October, I was supposed to make about $10,000 because I had a whole bunch of insurance policies like ready, sold, ready to push the button. I had a $300,000 investment ready to push the button, and everything crashed on the same day. It was a Friday. And I'm driving down to my office anyway, because that's who I am. I keep going. I never stop. I never quit. That was a real firm thing for me. I got to my office, and on the way, I had heard a song, a brand new song by Sidewalk Prophets called Help Me Find It. I'd never heard it before. I got there, nobody was at my office. Usually there's 5 or 6 people there. And I was like, well, okay, you know what? I'm going to listen to that song. So I pulled it up, and it was an amazing song. And honestly, there's one piece of it where there's a bridge, and the man is walking across the bridge, and he's considering suicide. And it just, I mean, I start crying, and then I started listening to the lyrics, and I was just like overwhelmed with emotion. And emotion really leads to transformation. And I believe that was a day that transformation really began. So then I pulled out my Bible. I'm a Christian. I started doing a whole bunch of devotionals, reading the Bible. And I literally just put my hands up and I said, Lord, all I care about is being your instrument. Please use me in whatever way you want. I thought you were using me as an educator. I got pushed out of that. I thought this was the way to go. I'm feeling pushed out of this. I don't know how you want to use me, but please use me. And I had said that prayer. Then about 2 hours later, I need to go to the bathroom. So I go in the bathroom and I'm out washing my hands, and out comes this woman from the bathroom, and she says hello, and we're washing the hands together, and then she started a conversation in the bathroom, no less, right? And she said, hey, I don't think I've seen you before. We had been in that office for 9 months together. We had never seen each other till this day. We talked. She said, I need you. And I said, what do you mean? And she said, I need you in my program, and I need you in my office. And I said, well, I'd love to sell you insurance. I'd love to help you invest your money. And she goes, no, I really need you. And she handed me her card and she said, we need to talk. And I went into my office and the card said hypnotherapy. And you know what I did? What? No way. No way. Never. And from that moment on, I mean, every day I saw her, she would like sense my presence and she would come out of her door and go, oh, the angels told me to come see you. I was like, what? And so finally I gave in and I thought, I just prayed that prayer. There must be something to this. I can't believe it, but there must be something to it. And I finally sat down with her, and she actually had a school for hypnosis, and it was a 1-year program. And she started telling me about it. I had to interview with the board. I had to pass their inspection, and of course I did. And then she said, how about you start the program? Keep in mind, I didn't have any money to pay for school. She said, how about you start the program? I need something down. How about $100? I pulled out a $100 bill. And she said, you can come for the first day of class. If you love it, you can continue and we'll figure this out. If you don't love it, you can go away and we'll just always be friends. And I said, okay. So I started school, and it was a Friday night, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. And I was like, I don't know if I want to miss church on Sundays. I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if this is even for me. But I went to that very first day, and there were only 4 students in our class. And I was just like, okay, I didn't call it hypnosis, but I've been doing a lot of this stuff. A lot of manifesting and a lot of imagining, myself in my dream house and myself making more money than and surviving this pit, right? And I continued on for an entire year. And what was the most impactful was at the end of the program, we all got to work with volunteers. So they came in, they got to experience a student doing hypnosis. And I worked with 34 volunteers with my supervisor or another student in the room with us, so that if I got stuck, I could look, or she'd pass a note, with like a suggestion. And I mean, the first one, a veteran, no less. But when he came in, and this is odd, this doesn't happen every day, I promise you, but he pulled up his shirt and he showed me his back, and he had, I'm serious, bigger than a golf ball bump in his back. And he said, I am in such pain. I was in the war. I've struggled all my life. I'm struggling with everything in me. I don't know even how to survive, but I am in pain. Could you help me with the pain? And I'm like, okay. And now keep in mind, at this point, I'm not sure I'm totally a believer in hypnosis. But okay, let's see what we can do. So I started, we did the whole thing. At the end of it, he sat up and he said, oh my goodness, I can move. He said, would you look at my back? And I'm like, sure. And I'm looking at my supervisor going, can I do this? She's like, yeah, it's okay. So I pulled up his shirt and the bump was gone. And I went,
Wow.
Whoa. And then we do like a little evaluation. So she goes out into the hallway, she talks to him, he does a little evaluation. And then she brings me out to like do an end of the session, like anything you want to share with her. She's a student. This is her first time doing hypnosis, blah, 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 blah. And he said, I've actually come here as a volunteer probably 5 or 6 times. And he said, I've never had as good a therapist as you. You you impress me. And I've never had this kind of results before. And I was just like, and of course I gave glory to God. I said, well, you know what? It's because I've got an extra Holy Spirit here in the room helping me. I really believe that's the difference. And he's like, that may be the difference. Thank you. And it was just such an amazing experience. And from that moment on, every volunteer I worked with was, I just had more belief in the process. I believe, that I'm not alone in that room. And I was just there and present for every single client. And that's really what I've chosen to do for the rest of my career, is just try to be as present as possible with every single client that's in front of me.
I guess my first question is going to be, I mean, that's a cool story. I cannot believe that I've never heard that story. All the times that we've been together, I don't think I've ever asked that question. And we've never talked about that story. That's really cool. First statement, hey, this is to everybody who gets uncomfortable when a conversation happens in the bathroom. Maybe it's for a reason. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But my question to you is, have you ever made anybody quack like a chicken?
Never.
Never. Okay, just to make sure, So, is that ever a concern, that somebody's got this feeling that maybe you've talked to my wife and I'm going to end up, she's going to say something like, "Oh, I love you, honey," and next thing I'm going to have this overwhelming urge to go and do the dishes.
Yeah. It's funny because I do talk to people outside of my office, just in general. Like if I see somebody smoking, I'll walk up to them and say, "Hey, if you ever want to quit, I'm a hypnotherapist. Easiest way to quit." I'll hand them my card and we'll have a little chat. And sometimes they'll call me later and we'll have a conversation. And I always give a free 20-minute consultation. And I can tell you how many consultations they asked me that question. And one man that I was talking to, and we talked for like 3 hours. He was just really fun to talk to. But at the end, he's like, "Okay, so if I pay for my brother's session and he comes in, can you promise me you'll work with him with everything? But at the end of it, will you make the suggestion that every time I say this word, he'll do this?" And I said, "No, that would be unethical." I said, "I could, but will I? No, I will not."
Well, see, now because I brought up that fact, I'm kind of hoping my wife doesn't watch this show.
As I said,
I think that
unethical.
I think she'd be telling me that she loves me quite often. We do a lot of cooking and our kitchen's a mess. So, what got you over well, I'm not sure if this is for me. I'm not sure if I'm a believer. What was it was it just that one incident, or was it a rash of different incidents that got you to where you're like, this is real?
There were a lot of different things in our original. This story I just told you about the veteran, that was like at the beginning of the volunteering, which was kind of at the end of the program. So we had met for, I think, probably 6 to 8 months prior to that. And each weekend we would watch, like videos about the brain and brain scans and the incredible research they're coming up with. We got to see a guest speaker talk about lens, which is like this really cool thing where they put little things on your head and they give you like basically electroshock, and they get the levels in your brain to a different place so that you have less anxiety or less addiction. We had actually seen volunteers come in. We each got to experience hypnosis too, because we'd be in a room and all 4 of us would be in a nice little like lawn chair recliner, and then one of the teachers would hypnotize us. And the first time, I can say I probably was not hypnotized because I was a little leery. But the second time I finally said, "Okay, I'm going to let this happen." And all of a sudden, like I was feeling more confident. And then the next one, I was starting to lose weight. And the next one, it was just like, whoa, okay, there's something to this. And yeah, it's not all me. There's something to this. Um, so yeah, kind of belief along the way, and then that one particular client was just the icing on the cake, if you will, that just said, "This is really real, and I could really use this for good."
You mentioned that they had that you also got hypnotized. Is it kind of like they do with, police training, where, you know what, you're going to get tased, you might as well get ready for it? Do they make you get do they make you go through the process to where you become hypnotized? And do you feel like if you don't go through with it, do you feel like you're going to be able to successfully hypnotize someone else?
Right. And that first time, I don't feel like I was, and I express that. And one of the things we do, actually in every session, is I had take people to their safe place, and I had explained the safe place as a place where you can just go in your imagination, where you can just explore and feel comfortable and feel safe, secure, and completely at peace. Well, when they said that, I said, I'm going to the beach. I lived in Florida for a year. I love the beach. We would go as often as we possibly could. We lived like a mile from the beach. I was a Lutheran school teacher. We didn't have any money, but we could go lay on the sand for free, right? And I was like, I'm going to the beach. But it had been there now at that time, probably 25 years since I had been to the beach. I'd been to any other beach since. My mind would not take me there at all. And then I was uncomfortable. It was this giant chair, and they didn't tell me I could move. And I was like, oh, uncomfortable, and it didn't work. And I was like, oh. So then I expressed that in class, and I mean, I'll never forget Dr. Watson saying, if you can't be hypnotized, you're not going to be able to hypnotize somebody else. And I was like, oh, maybe I can't do this. And then another student, when I talked about that safe place and not being able to get there, she goes, Daria, it's okay. Just let your mind take you where you need to go. And if you can't see it, you can think it. And I was like, does that mean I'm not hypnotizable? And she goes, no, just think it. So actually, now I have this picture up here, and I explain this to clients. And I say, this place is a place that I believe is safe for me. It might scare the living daylights out of somebody else, but it's a picture of a fall day with beautiful colors on the trees and a stream and a giant rock. And I said, so if you were going to go to that place, just thinking it, okay, so you think there's a path, and how I picture a camping path is little dirt with some rocks along it, kind of, lining the way. And then I'm going to see that rock, and I know it's been sitting in the sun, and it's a fall day, so it's kind of cool. So I'm going to want to be warm, and I'm going to sit on that rock. Yeah, it feels so good when you sit on a rock when you're a little chilly, and it just feels so warm, and you lay back and you just feel that warmth on your back. And then, of course, the stream of water is going, and you can hear the water. And maybe you'll even look over, you'll see some little fishies, or you'll see a tadpole, or you'll look up at the branch across the way and you'll see like a squirrel running across, or you might see a bird coming down and just resting for a moment and just watching you, and just you feel completely safe, secure, and deeply at peace. And because I can do that now, and I can share that experience with my clients, I mean, they start going, oh, I know where I'm going. Oh, oh. And sometimes they say, this is sad. And this explains how many people I work with, that why I needed an advanced degree so that things aren't out of my scope of practice. Some people have had severe trauma, especially childhood trauma, and there is no safe place for them. And then we talk about that. And then we kind of create a safe place. And sometimes it's here in my office. Sometimes it's in the recliner, covered up with a blanket, and just hearing my voice and feeling safe here. And that's their safe place.
So not everybody, and that's a great segue to what I wanted to talk to you about. What if you don't know where your safe place is? Because, like you said, yours would be the beach. So I would think that maybe mine is maybe camping, because that's where I'm comfortable. But that doesn't particularly mean that's your safe place.
Mm-hmm.
It is ironic that you were just talking about the stream. That's where I go when I try to meditate. I go to a stream and I watch leaves come down the stream.
Awesome.
I follow a leaf down down just a brook or a little stream, and I listen to the water. I can visualize the water, or and the sound of the water, and all that stuff. Would that work as my safe place?
Absolutely. Yep. Yep. Back to one of my sessions, I use something like that to release and let go of things. And I even like describe. So I'm a guide. I don't lead. I guide people, and then they do their own work. Sometimes when they're all finished, they describe something completely different than what I had in my mind because their mind is doing it. But there's one where the leaf is going down the stream and it even kind of pools up in a little pool of water and it's trying to get over the little hump. And then finally a rush of water comes and it goes and it keeps going. And yeah, definitely. Yep. And the more senses you bring in, the better. And actually, yeah, emotion is the language of the subconscious. So the more emotion you can bring into it of, wow, I feel a peacefulness just flowing on the inside of me and all around me. And I just feel so loved and so just right in this place.
See, I mean, that's just really cool. Like I said, it's amazing that we've talked so many times and we've never really got into this part. And maybe that's just because I've gotten more comfortable with doing the interviewing thing. But I mean, this is so important. Let me ask you this. You said that the first time you didn't think that you were hypnotized. On average, how many people do you have to do this more than once before they let themselves open up and become hypnotized? Or even a better question, on average, how many people the first time you feel are completely open and allow it?
Yeah. Now, keep in mind, they have kind of researched before they've even found me. Then they've made the call, and then I've actually talked to them for 20 minutes before they even make the appointment. And then they actually make it here. So
Right.
that helps. Okay. So all
Yeah.
of that front work is going to affect it. But I would probably say 9 out of 10 people really do like go into a pretty deep relaxation. Now, each time after that, I would say they get deeper and deeper and can do more and more work. I have one client, I love him. He's come to me, I think we're almost at a page, and I've been seeing him for 3 years. So he doesn't come that often, maybe every 3 months. He calls me more of a life coach because he's like, okay, help me. He came originally to quit chewing. Simple, easy. It was done once. But he'll get done after his hypnosis session and he'll just start laughing. And he's like, I think you're getting better and better and better at this. And I said, well, it's because you're telling me more and more about what you want me to bring into your session. And I'm using that information and I'm guiding you in that. And then your mind is taking it and just running with it. And yeah, you're getting a deeper experience and it's getting deeper and deeper into that subconscious mind. You know, the conscious mind is only 20% of your mind. So you can talk your way and you can figure things out and you can try to see from a new perspective and you can come to a therapist with a lot of skills, and I have a lot of skills. I can help people communicate. I can help them like dig through, like, let's look at the generations past and let's see where those old tapes have gotten in. Let's see where maybe your mom said this or your dad said this, or maybe you had that first relationship where you felt rejected or abandoned, or we can talk that all through, and that's going to help 20% of the mind, but 80% is in the subconscious, and it's kind of like what I call them old tapes that are just kind of constantly on play. The conscious mind says, hey, I want to change, and the subconscious mind says, nope, remember this, And so even when I'm doing talk therapy, I talk subconscious all the time. Like, are you sure you don't want to try hypnosis? Just one. And most people will say, after they've gotten to know me, like, yeah, I really trust you. I don't think you're going to hurt me. Let's give it a try. And then they're like, why did I do this a long time ago? This is amazing. And even like couples therapy, I've found I have to meet with each of them at least once before. And if I can talk them into hypnosis, they do so much better in the couples counseling because I give them a safe place signal. So I've guided them into their safe place. At the end of that session, a whole bunch of other stuff happened. But at the end of that session, I give them a signal where they touch their finger and thumb together and they feel the way they feel in that safe place. And it's pretty amazing. It really does work. And it feels just wonderful. And I'll say to the couple that's like in maybe a real conflict, I say, okay, stop. I want you both to take a deep breath. Okay, now touch your finger and thumb together. I want you both to go to your safe place for just a moment or two. And they'll go. And then I'll bring them back up and say, okay, now that you're both in a calmer place, let's talk about this again. Let's take turns. Let's bring down our voices. Let's have calm voices, gentle voices, and let's really talk through this issue that you're having, this conflict that you're having. Let's find a way to come to the middle, a compromise. Because you know what? You're not seeing his side. You're not seeing her side. And we need to figure out a way to come together to bring a calm space, which is also what I do with a lot of co-parents who are fighting with each other and making the poor kid suicidal, which often is, I get them between the ages of 10 to 12 a lot, very suicidal, coming from divorced families. And I'll listen to the child and I'll help them, but inevitably I say, I need to meet with both mom and dad, and maybe stepmom and stepdad if they're involved. And one of the first things I do is say, okay, stop. Time to lay down your weapons. And they'll look at me like, I don't have any. Yeah, you do. You've got stuff, junk going on that you have never talked about. There was a reason you got divorced. And so this kid is half of each one of you. And so mom hates dad. He's half a dad. Dad hates mom. She's half of mom. And this kid thinks if I just go away, they're going to be okay. And honestly, that little like recognition just goes, whoa. And then we can talk about what led to this divorce. What do we need to talk about? What happened? Okay, maybe it is the stepmom is the woman he had the affair with. Or maybe the stepdad is the one that, has been very, very mean to the child for one reason or another. And the mom's been letting it happen. Or, what's really going on here? Let's talk. This is an open forum where we can talk, but we need to stay calm and gentle and at peace.
And there's not an age limit on this. When it comes to, it's not just young divorced married couples that go through this issue. This happens with the more mature adults that get divorced, that want to sit there and they want to, one of the things that I've done a lot different, like with my second divorce than I did on my first divorce. I'm not going to sit there and I'm not going to talk bad about my ex-wife now. I used to do that quite a bit with my first wife because I was hurt. I was hurt. I'm hurt with the second divorce as well, but I know how to manage it better, and I'm open to discussion more than I was when, earlier in the years. The thing is I'm able to also talk to the boys. Each of my wives and I, we have a son together, and I'm able to talk to them about it as well, and I'm able to discuss it with them that, what, look, this is the reason why I've got this problem, and not say, oh, I hate it, and because, and I completely understand it. But it's not just young couples that split up that do this, right? It's older parents, or not. I'm sorry, not older parents, but older couples. They have this problem as well, right?
Hmm. Actually, one of my favorite latest things I've been doing is I have a lot of adult children that are finally meeting with their mom or their dad because actually the first one that came in, he wanted to get married and he wanted his whole family to be at the wedding, and they were having major conflicts and lots of cutoffs in their family. And he said, I want to find a way to find peace among us. So the three boys, adults, came with their mom, and we did therapy each week with all of them and sorted through some things. And I'll tell you why, it was probably the hardest for the mom because she got to hear some things that she had done that was not good. And she never really got to a place where she really apologized. And I said, I think you really need some individual counseling really before we continue the rest of this. But are you at a place where you can all go to the wedding and be at peace? And they said, oh, yes, absolutely. And so we kind of put it on hold, and they may come back for more. But she's getting her own individual therapy to sort through why she does some things that she does. So, I hope I didn't. I'm not supposed to talk about any client ethically. It's confidential, but you don't know who I'm talking about, and you don't even know
Right. Well,
anything
you
about
know, and
them.
I mean, these are all situations. Look, this isn't, and one of the things that we like to say is, you know what? This isn't the only situation that's like this. Look, there's not. You're not going to experience something that someone else has not experienced before. The
Mm-hmm.
only reason why it's different is because it's happened to you. Um, and so, I'll never say I know exactly what you're going through because I don't. I know what I went through. And I know I can tell you from what I went through. If we're in a similar situation, I can tell you what I went through. And I can say, so if this happens to you, this is what I've done.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I understand your dilemma, but I don't think that we're there's no names involved. So I'm hoping you're comfortable with it. When someone comes to you, they have to they have to take responsibility. You've you've brought to light the problem, but the only way for it to really work is for them to take responsibility, right?
Mm-hmm. Which is honestly kind of where I struggle between individual and family counseling, because I can get an individual to come every week and share a lot of story and do some breakthroughs and do some amazing work, but I only know one side of the story, really.
There's your story, there's my story, then there's the truth.
Yep. Yep. So then when we come together, and oftentimes I'll just say, whoa, you came here for help as an individual, but I can tell you what you have here is a relationship problem. Now, as a family therapist, as a system worker, if I haven't seen that person too many times, and I would say probably the max would be 3 to 6, I have to have equal time with each one. So if I have 3 to 6 with the child and 3 to 6 with the mom, and then I bring them back together, I can work with them, and I'm really good at, like I said, being very present with my clients and not having any bias one way or the other. And sometimes I'll have them sign a release so that I can bring up things, or if I slip up, I'm covered. But I say, I'm not going to bring up things unless I feel like it's pertinent to the relationship. So I may look at you and say, I think it might be time to share. You probably know what I'm thinking. And they're like, are you ready to share that? I'm here and I can help you with that. And I can help you say the right words. Are you ready to share? And usually by that time, they're like, yeah, I think I need to finally share what's going on in my life with my mom or with my dad or with my child. and get it on the table. And honestly, sometimes just talking about it like finally goes, woo, breaks down the walls, and emotions can come up and you can be vulnerable with each other, and that's the breakthrough they need sometimes.
And
There's more work to be done.
I don't know if this happens a lot when it comes to conflict, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What what about when you've got two or three or four people who are saying the same thing, but they're saying it in a different way, and there's a huge fight going in which they don't understand? You guys are all in agreement. You're just saying it the wrong, you're saying it different.
Right.
It's you guys are just misunderstanding each other, but you're saying the same thing. There's not a conflict here. It's just the way that you're communicating.
Mhm.
How often does that happen?
Oh, just about every relationship line I have.
Okay, so it does happen all the time.
That's normal, especially after they've been together for a while, right? Because a little tone of voice will trigger the other person. And I mean, in a couple situation, the man will say, "Well, what tone? I don't see a tone." Like, that tone. Well, what does that mean? I don't mean that. And so we do a lot of, exploring. We do a lot of reflectively listening. Okay, stop. You just said way too much. First of all, you need to shorten what you're saying. And this is one of the major things I do. You need to stop doing this, which when you point to somebody else and you blame somebody else, there's three pointing back at you. And in my case, there's a thumb because I have a weird thumb. So you have to say, okay, if I can let go of blaming and I can see how what I'm doing in this situation to make the cycle and the patterns continue to be like a storm and a tornado instead of just a regular interaction that's going to go flowing like a beautiful stream down the river. Let's get it to that point. Let's see where you can change your tone, change the word you say, change how you reflect what they said instead of just thinking what you thought they said in your head and it's not true, or creating a story in your head, which often happens too. All of us do that, right? We're human. We create a lot of stories in our head that just really aren't true. And for some reason, we get to a point where we believe that they actually did that or they said that. And when you get in counseling, they're like, "Oh, man, I'm sorry if I did that or said that, but I really don't think I did that. No, I don't really think I said that." And that's where it can come in handy to have another couple people, witnesses, going, "Yeah, I don't remember her ever saying that to you.
Yeah.
I don't think that happened. I think that happened in your mind and not in reality."
I know there's a lot of times that when I'm caught off guard, or I'll be doing something, and my wife will ask me something and I'll answer it in kind of a I don't mean for it to be like off-putting way, but I'll answer the question kind of like going, um uh, it's like, hold on. And I don't mean hold on. I mean, hold on. I'll be right there. And it'll come across the wrong way. Is there an answer why I do that? Because it's not that I don't try to answer like it's in like it's inconvenience, but there's just every once in a while it'll come out that way. Is there an answer why I do that?
Probably is too fast of a reaction.
Okay.
Oftentimes, what can help is, okay, take a breath. Use your safe place signal. But just take a breath and then think about what you're going to say. Or maybe even, I call it adult timeout. Sometimes you've been triggered by someone, by what they said, what they did, what they're asking, and you just need an adult timeout. Give me an adult timeout. Give me a minute or two. I'm going to go for a quick walk. I'm going to go get a drink of water. I'm going to shake off the negative energy because I just got home from work and I'm all stressed out because my boss said this and my coworker did this and that client that I was on the phone with accused me of this and blah 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 blah, and I've got all this stuff in my head, and then I just came home and you asked me to do something and I haven't even taken a breath. Give me, please, an adult timeout. We give children time out because really what they're about, it's not punishment. It's about giving them time to think about what they did and how to
Right.
change their behavior so that when you come back to them after the timeout, you're calm too. You're not ready to slap them. You're
Yeah.
calm. You're like, okay, that really wasn't that big a deal, but I can use this as a lesson. But a lot of times what the kids think about is like so much more impactful. Okay, can you tell me what you did? Can you tell me why you're in timeout? Well, the same thing with an adult. You sometimes need time out to think about, what did I say? What did I do? Why did I like react so fast? Why did I say, hey? And then I made her mad. And why does that hey make her mad? Who did that to her? Was that her mom?
Yeah.
Was that her
Yeah,
dad?
because I know very well. I'm very guilty of doing that every once in a while. I also know that there are times that she thinks she hears that, and it's like, no, no, that wasn't me who said that.
Right?
So I do understand that there's that miscommunication there. So, Daria, I got a question for you because a couple weeks ago, the family and I we had a discussion about one of the things that's going on that's very, very prevalent in the news right now. And I would like to get your opinion of this. And please tell me if you don't want to get into it. But we had the discussion about, are we asking too much of our kids? Are we asking too difficult questions for our kids nowadays? We are asking children, and a lot of this has to do with the sexual orientation and everything right now. I know that we're asking kids nowadays questions about sexuality and stuff at an age that if my parents thought I was thinking about this, they would have beat me rather than talked about it. It's like,
Right.
you are 7 years old. You don't even know what that thing is yet.
Mhm.
Are we asking kids to make these decisions too young?
Okay, it's kind of a long answer, and it is a very important question. And yes, it may be my informed opinion, and it may be an opinion. Okay, so I'm going to clarify it like that. And I try not to talk politics.
Yeah,
It's sort of
yeah.
political, and it's been politically charged, which is making it worse.
Very politically
Um,
charged.
and it is divisive, which is what politics do. It's divisive, and my whole theme is to we create peace and harmony. So we need to find a safe place to talk about this in a peaceful way with each other. For one thing, um, I did a lot of research trying to figure out the transgender thing, and in that research, now is it biased? I don't know. It's published, so maybe, maybe not. But in my research, I did find out that most people as adults who are thinking they are transgender actually begin thinking about it at the age of 4 and 5. So that kind of shocked me because as an educator too, I had a ton of development classes, a ton of psychology classes. And then I went into my master's program, my first master's program of education, I had more development classes, more psychology classes. And then of course in the second master's program, more development, more psychology classes. So I have a lot of really, really a lot of developmental issues and developmental thinking in my brain. And but I look at that and I say, there's a developmental stage. Children really think only concretely until about the age of 14. 14, logical thinking begins. If, then, what, for, how to, trying to put that puzzle together. But up until that point, kids are so concrete thinking. Their parents say this, Okay. The teacher says this. Okay. They're not doing a lot of questioning of that. They're learning, they're growing, they're letting their brain like develop and create those synapses that are going in the right places and the right time. But I kind of look at it as personally, I don't know about you, but when I was a little girl, I liked little girls. I loved hanging out with them. We had sleepovers. We played with stuffed animals. We played in my little houses. We had Barbies. We never had the fancy, like Dream House. We created them from cardboard and
Yep.
painted them and used markers and all kinds of stuff. But we had a lot of fun. We played outside. We had a lot of freedom in South Dakota. Where you could go outside and play without really a thought. And it came home when the lights came on, or you came home when the whistle blew. I was free. But I loved playing with girls. Now my brother was 3.5 years older than I was, and he'd bring his friends over, and we all got along. But there was some of that, like, the whole gender thing of, oh, you're too, meh, 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 especially being younger and a girl compared to an older boy. But we played together, we had fun together, but we weren't thinking like, oh, I'm gonna marry him one day, or oh, I think might like her more than I like him, because that's not what your job is to do as a child. Your job is just to experience life, to learn about life, how to do things, what how to do math, how to read, how to learn to explore the world and all that good stuff. And that's why junior high gets really hard, because the age of 10 to 12 is the age of identity. That is where they're really starting to say, who am I? Is what my mom is telling me I am real? Is what my friend is telling me real? Is what my brother says about me real? Who am I? And oftentimes in that 10 to 12-year-old time, if there's a trauma that happens, like maybe their mom and dad divorced, or maybe one of them actually dies, or somebody has an alcoholic rage or something like that, that can really affect that age of identity of who am I. That's the time when they're starting to consider it. But sexually, they're not even at the point either where they're just ready to say, well, I think I like boys better than I like girls. Don't make them do that. It's even like I recognize Halloween is, a fun little holiday. Some people embrace it. I did. My kid loved it. I loved it. But you know what?
I
When I was
still love it. I
yeah,
still love it.
but when
And
I
I
was a
don't have
first grader,
kids to dress up anymore, and I hate it.
yeah,
But you know,
it's
but
fun. You
yeah,
can be something you're not. You can be in a fantasy. And that's really all it is. It's a fantasy. So, when I was like in first grade, I think I said I wanted to be the devil. Well, I grew up in a Christian family. We went to church every Sunday. My mom didn't go, oh, you can't be the devil. He's evil. My mom embraced it and said, well, let me see. How could we make that outfit cheap? Because we were always poor. Let's see, I'll buy a red pair of leotards. I'll buy her a red bodysuit. I'll sew her a little red tail, and I'll sew her little horns that go on her thing. And then we'll paint her face red. And then I went to the apple bobbing contest, and the red paint all went off in the apple bobbing contest. But I didn't become the devil. And even as an adult, when I thought of that experience, it didn't make me evil. It
no.
was just fun. But yet now, when you talk about Halloween, some parents, and if I'm if I'm stepping on some toes, forgive me, but some parents go, "Oh, I could never let my child do that. Oh, I could." And you're bringing adult concepts into a child's mind, and that's not fair, in my opinion.
I kind of you've got me thinking here. I remember one year for Halloween, my mother taking and putting Vaseline on my face and then coffee grounds to give me a beard. And all I can remember is how uncomfortable that was. I think my mom was trying to tell me, you don't ever grow a beard. I think that's what she was trying to tell me.
Now, were you a hobo back in
Oh,
the day
I believe I was. I believe I
with the little
was. It was,
stick and the
yeah,
handkerchief?
yeah. It was either that or I was a lumberjack, one of the two. I can't remember that part. I just remember that, Oh my God, that was so uncomfortable, and it stunk so bad because of the petroleum jelly. But anyway, you brought
Creative
up
Connor.
something. Yeah, you brought up something just a little bit ago that just a minute ago that we were talking about prior to hitting recording. And one of the problems that we've dealt with the last 2.5 years during this whole COVID thing was families falling apart because we were left to our own devices quite a bit. We were talking about somebody who was drinking, they're drinking more. Somebody who was having drug problems, they didn't have work to go to all the time. They didn't have that outlet to where, you know what, I can go and see my friends. So they're just going to do it at home. And that caused a lot of conflict, didn't it?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
What now that life is getting back to normal, those families who were able to stick it out, are they able to cope with it a little bit better? Or now is it like going, look, are our families coming up and say, look, you really need to realize how big of a problem you've got? Or has it always been the same?
Hmm. That's a really good question. It's a deep question. And probably, again, every client has their unique issues that they're dealing with. And some embrace that. Some embraced it and said, well, since our kids are going to do virtual school and that's not working, I'm at home and I'm working from home and I'm going to embrace this and I'm going to start homeschooling because we can get school done in 2 hours as opposed to 8 hours anyway. And then we're going to have some more time to get out and enjoy and go explore. And I've always thought it'd be fun to homeschool my kids. I never had the opportunity. But, like you learn all about things that you're going to see in Pennsylvania. And then you take a trip to Pennsylvania and then you're there and you experience it a little more like kinesthetically because you can see it, touch it, feel it, talk to people that experienced it in that place. Um, Incredible. So some families really embraced it and said, "We're going to make the best of this. We're going to see this." One of my mentors actually says, "It's not going to happen to me. It's going to happen for me." So if this is happening for me, how can I change? Even you and I talking on this beautiful platform virtually is really a brand new thing.
Yeah.
I never went to a Zoom until One BC, One Business Connection, said, "Hey, we can meet." And I went. I remember that first meeting. I was just like, "Oh, I'm not alone. I don't just have my family. I still have you. Oh, it's so good to see you. Even though I can't touch you, I could talk to you. Oh, oh, I'm a people person. I get my energy from people. I needed other people. I had my family at home, but I needed other people. It was wonderful. So a lot of really wonderful things happen when people decided I'm not going to have that happen to me. I'm going to have it for me. But then other people did go into that pit and even like studying emotions and primary emotions and secondary emotions. I know, and I knew from the very beginning, when you create fear, which is what happened, I was afraid for a moment. I didn't let it affect me because I just got myself calm and I went, you know what? It is what it is, but I'm not going to be afraid. And you know what? If I die, I know I'm going to go to heaven and I'm going to be with Jesus and it's going to be wonderful. So I'm okay. If I catch COVID and I die, I'm okay with that. Boy, I sure hope I don't lose my family. That made me afraid more than me dying. That made me afraid. But I said, ooh, but all this fear, I mean, and I do believe it was created. A lot of fear was created. Some of it was real. Yes. Yes. There were some facts. Yes. I lost a cousin to COVID. It's real. I believe it was real. But a lot of fear was created. And even like the shutdown. And now I'm not making any money. How am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to feed my family? How? So much fear was created. But when fear begins to happen, on top of fear becomes anger. And we saw that played out in the country too, because here was fear created in February-ish. We went to Cancun in February, so it wasn't that big. But we heard about the cruise ship being out there in February. And then in March, right around spring break, was the shutdown. And then by June, crazy as it seems, everybody's out in public and they're all shouting at each other and they're close together holding picket things about racism. And they're angry. And I went, I knew this was going to happen. Well, unfortunately, it just didn't play out in the country, but it played out in families too.
Yeah.
When you create fear, anger starts to come to the surface, and some of those things are like now time, but some of them are from way back when. And that fear as a little boy, now as a dad, is coming out. That fear as a little girl is now as a mom coming out. That fear is coming out in the couple. Oh, this brings me back to that time when we were da 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 da. We got through it, but we never really talked about it. So, yes, every family has their own issues, but emotions create more emotion, and emotions need to be recognized and talked about and yeah.
I know I fractured my leg on February 20th of 2020. I actually detached my ankle from my leg, which was, and yeah, it wasn't comfortable. And I remember when I got to the hospital, I started seeing this is when COVID really started coming into the States, and right before the shutdown. And I remember seeing everyone wearing masks. And I'm sitting there going, I came in for a broken leg and I'm going to die because of the plague. What the hell is going on here? I remember that. I remember asking the nurse that exact question. Okay, so I'm here for a broken leg. Am I going to die because something's going on? And they're going, well, we're not going to let as many people in right now, but we'd prefer it if you'd wear a mask if you got out of the room, but you're okay. And I'm like, what is this about? And then, of course, I was still thinking it was like a really bad flu or something. But, well, Daria, I greatly appreciate you joining us, taking this hour out of your time. As always, this has been so much fun, and it's always great getting to talk to you. One, it's great to get to learn more about you. How do people get a hold of you?
Oh, call me, and it's my cell phone and my business phone. But yeah, 303-358-1293, and leave a message. My phone is my wonderful little piece. You can text me, you can call me. When I'm with clients, I do not answer the phone. I do not look at text. So oftentimes it's late at night. I work 9 to 7 Monday through Saturday. So oftentimes it's 7:30, 8 o'clock by the time I'm finally responding. Or maybe if I get a chance, a client's in doing paperwork and have a chance to answer some texts, I can quickly answer a text. But a call, and honestly, I don't really schedule calls. You just say, hey, let's talk. And sometimes I call and, hey, is this the right time? Oh, this is a bad time. Can you call tomorrow about noon? And I say, well, I'll try. Give me a chance to do that. And then we'll finally connect. And I give them that 20-minute consultation and we can chat about whatever. Usually it's about questions. And I think I answered a lot of questions in this. So they probably have most of those questions answered.
Well, yeah. I mean, I like I said, I think that we've gotten deeper into it in this 1 hour than we've ever done before. I know we have. You can, a lot of your therapies you can do for people no matter where they're at, right?
I can. Yep, through Zoom. Zoom is a wonderful thing. I did not believe that before the pandemic, so that's a change in my thinking too.
Well, all I know is that the pandemic sucked. It really did. But it also introduced me to great people like you. I think I met you on that very first One BC virtual meeting I went to. And it was great because I got to go back to the networking thing. because I couldn't go because I was healing from the leg. So I couldn't go to any of the live meetings.
That's right.
All of a sudden, I was getting the message that, hey, we're going to do this virtually. And I was like going, oh, you guys, oh, I get it. It's because you can't go anywhere else. It's not that you care about me. It's yes. But
I think
anyway,
you're right. I remember your cast.
yeah. So
Yeah.
Oh, that was a time and a half, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Having to wear a mask and having my legs straight up in the air. Yeah, that was all kinds of fun. So
Well, I was one of those rebels. Like I had a mask, but I would ask clients when they finally got to come back, do you want me to wear this? Do you need me to wear this? Can I not wear it? You can wear it if you want. And a lot of clients were like, oh, thank you. We can finally talk. And other clients, masks are a whole nother subject. I can't even tell you how many I treated for anxiety because they decided they liked their eyes more than they liked the rest of their face. And they didn't want to take the mask off and be in public. Anxiety.
and Stephanie and I were talking about this earlier. I saw a post the other day, and this is kind of me venting a little bit. Excuse me. But I saw a post the other day in response to there is a surge of COVID coming back right now. And somebody was talking about, I went to a store where they were asking me to put on my mask again because of the surge. I'm just going to say this, okay? If there's a store owner, if you go to somebody's house who's got elderly parents and they ask you to put on a mask, respect them. If not, walk out the damn door. You don't have to be there. But I saw somebody the other day who put a comment on social media saying, if I see you wearing a mask, I will not hold a door for you. I will not talk to you, and don't try to talk to me. And all I could think to myself is, well, I won't use the word that I thought of.
Not so nice person.
Yeah. You're just a flat out jerk. People are allowed to wear masks, I guess, as much as you're allowed to be a jerk. Just remember, those people are worth a damn. Mm-hmm. You're not. That's all I've got to say.
Right. And my husband had leukemia when it started. So, I went to the store. He didn't. I wore a mask when I went to the store. Before, people were wearing masks. But then I realized, I think I'm getting sicker by wearing a mask because I'm breathing my own breath. And after I had a mask on, I would have to blow my nose and I'm sneezing and I'm starting to cough. And I'm like, I think it's creating more illness in me than if I go without. But, I was really careful. I would wash my hands before I went in. I would, take my clothes off, put a new set of clothes on because my husband has leukemia. And
I remember that. I remember that. Now that you bring that up, I do remember that. And like I said, you know what? It is, for some of us, it's a lot scarier. Stephanie has autoimmune children. She's got children that their autoimmune is not, it's problematic. So she's going to take certain steps. I've got elderly parents that I take care of. I'll be damned if I'm going to let you in my house if I think that you're going to do something that's going to harm my parents.
Right.
I'm sorry, but your discomfort is not worth my father's funeral.
Right.
It's not. Deal with it. I hate to be rude, but I don't care.
Right.
Right. On the same thing. So you know what? If somebody is out there and they're asking you to wear a mask, if you're not comfortable wearing a mask, go somewhere else. Just remember that. It's look, we do still live in a free country, right? I mean, people are allowed to ask you.
Supposedly.
Yeah, supposedly. Quote unquote. But
for some things you're free, for other things you're not free.
So
and we can talk off camera about all those things.
Yeah. Let's go on ahead and do that. I'd hate to get blacklisted from my own show. That would be terrible. So, but Daria, I do appreciate this very much. Thank you so much for making some time. And thank you for coming on and pre-recording this for me. Folks, remember, if you see someone, if you know someone who's expressing problems, please contact us. We'll try to help find the right solution for them. Just because the solution's not what you would do doesn't mean it's not what they need. Okay, so there's always a solution to problems. We just need to make sure that we're doing it, because remember, if you leave them in the lurch, it may be the last time you talk to them. No matter how softly you walk, you're always going to leave footprints. And we just want to remember that you will be missed if you take your life. So for the family who's unfortunately not here today, for Daria Mann, our wonderful guest, my name is Zach Clayton. I hope to see you next week right here on Footprints Forward. Thank you very much. Have a great week.